Okay, today we're going to harvest our honey. This hive has been here for a couple years. We harvested from it last year. This is your brood box. There's a queen excluder here at this level. So this up here, this is all for their bedroom and their food supply. And then up here at the top, we've got the actual where they've been storing the honey that we're going to harvest today. This honey has been sitting in here since the spring. We put this box on in the spring, and so they've been filling it up all summer, and until we open it up, we're not really sure how much honey we're going to get out of this harvest. But normally we would have done this about a month ago, but we just got behind and hadn't had a chance to get to it. I want to go on record as saying that I'm a complete amateur when it comes to bee keeping, but because of some classes that we've had over the last several years and because of a lot of interest in the area, I wanted to be able to understand the beekeeping science, and I wanted to be able to be a better educator as far as how we produce our honey and how it's produced. So at the encouragement of one of our local beekeepers, I got a hive last year, and then I split the hive and ended up with a second hive. But this has been a complete learning process. Throughout the river valley, we have a large number of individuals that are everything from professionals to just your backyard hobbyist. And so I would fall in that latter category as just being a hobbyist, but using it more for an educational purpose. This cover stays on year round. The rock is just to help keep everything together. So I just simply remove those. I've got my smoker going. The smoke just helps to calm the bees a little bit. And there's a granddaddy longleg that was hiding under the rock. So now I'm just going to remove the top cover. Give them a little bit of smoke. And I knew I was forgetting something. I forgot my hive tool, Janie. It's laying in there in the garage on the grill. I'm going to need that to open up this cover. The bees, when they're working, they will seal this cover down to the top box. And I don't want Katie getting too close, but she's our camera lady today. But there's a hive beetle crawling around on top. I've got a tray underneath that's there to collect hive beetles that are very common in our area. I've got my hive tool, and like I said, this cover is really stuck down, glued down to the top. They do a really good job of sealing this off for us. And you got to just kind of wedge it under the edge and very gently start prying up so you don't damage the cover. We've got some 9 frames inside this top box, which is called a super, and we just tap that lid against the cover, or against the ground, to get the bees off of it. Keep your smoke going a little bit to kind of calm them down, and then using our top tool, we've got to pry these frames loose that are also stuck down. This part takes a little bit of effort. You got to be real careful that you don't damage the top of your box. We reuse these boxes season after season. And I could just take this whole box with me into the garage and start spinning the honey out, but the reason I'm taking them out one at a time is to remove the bees. But as you can see, this is a very full frame of honey. And even though it's not capped off like some that you'll see, there's a lot of honey in that frame. And I'm just lightly tapping it until they decide that's not something they want to be on. Give them a little more smoke. So we don't take any more of these than we have to into the garage with us, where we've got our spinner set up. And then I'm just going to place them in this temporary box, or this box here temporarily. And we'll continue to remove these frames one at a time. And there's 9 total frames in this box, and we may, depending on how much honey we've got in here, we may leave some of them, or we may go ahead and harvest them. That's just a decision you have to make. We know that this is a really strong hive, and whatever honey you left in here that you don't harvest, they'll use to help survive or get them through the winter. If you don't leave them enough honey in there to get them through the winter, then you've got to feed them with sugar water to help sustain them in the winter. And as long as they've got plenty of honey, then we don't have to worry about feeding them. Okay, so once we get these frames all removed, we'll take them on into the garage, and then you'll follow us up in there, and we'll spin out some honey. We brought our box in with 7 of the 9 frames out of that top box that are pretty full. They're not all completely full. They're not all completely capped off, but there's a lot of honey in these 7 frames. And so now we're going to decap the frames with this little roller. You notice it's got little dimples on it that will perforate the honeycomb's cap. And we've got this stainless steel food quality spinner that we actually can put 4 frames in once we've decapped them. And then when we start spinning it, it will sling the honey out around the sides. And then the honey we've got this food quality, it's a jarring bucket, for lack of a better description. We put it underneath, we open up the spout, and this coarse strainer that's on the top will strain out any impurities, pieces of comb that might have got off in there, maybe a hive beetle, or maybe a part of a bee or something. Just your trash that's associated with beekeeping will get caught, and then your pure honey is down here in the bottom. And so we'll then take this inside where it's cool, put it up on a counter, and we'll open it up here, and then we'll actually jar the honey. So we'll show you that part later. But right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and decap 4 of these and take off my removable covers here. We've got everything, this doesn't have to be done in a commercial kitchen, but you do want to be as clean as possible. Notice I get the frame over here. I just lightly go up and down And you'll see that honey just start to shine as it breaks that cap and perforates that cap. We leave the honeycomb in place because it takes so much energy. It takes 13 times more energy to build comb than it does to produce honey or to make a honey. So a big portion of a bee's life is spent building comb. So any of this comb that we can salvage, we can reuse it and put it back out there for them to start with. They won't have to rebuild this comb. You can go both directions here. Some people go both directions. This spinner here, you actually put them in, you spin it on one side, and then you go back and turn them over and spin the other side. So with that, I'll finish loading this up, and then we'll get back to you and show you how this spins out. Okay, so this spinner that slings all the honey out of the comb holds 4 frames, and I'm ready to put the last one in as soon as I get it stored. I believe we've scored that all we need to. Got all them caps broke. Then we're going to slide this down in there ever so gently. Can't do this without making a mess. And it's a little tight because we've got some excess comb built up around the edges. So that's preventing me from being able to slide them down in there. But now we got them in there. We're going to put our top back on after we do a little cleanup, and then we'll spin out some honey. Alright, so we've got 3 frames in here, and we're just going to spin that honey out just as easy as we can. This is a manual operator, not like the motorized kind that will run you several $100s. But as you can see down in there, it's a slinging that honey out. It's a little bit out of balance because I've got some supers that are fuller than others. But we'll finish spinning this out. We got to take them out, turn them around, and spin them on the other side, and then we'll show you the filtering process. Alright, so we took the 7 frames that we got out of that one box and we spun it through our spinner. Now we're running it through our food quality jarring bucket. It passed through a coarse sieve. Getting out, you can see on top of the honey there, you can see that excess wax and left over from the honeycomb, and it's you don't see any bee parts or hive beetles or anything like that. So this is really clean honey. We did a good job of keeping everything clean, and so we're just going to let a little bit run out, and at the very bottom, take this inside where it's cool, and we'll start jarring up some honey. Alright, so here we are inside the house where it's nice and cool. We're jarring up this honey. Leave just a little bit of airspace there. You're always going to have a little bit of a spider web there, but then there's our finished product. And we'll have a jar like this we'll sell for $10. One of these little half pints in the fancier jars, we price those at $6. And the take-home message of all this is, as you've seen how much work goes into the production of a small jar of honey. When you go up to the farmer's market and they've got a whole quart for $20, or they've got a pint for $10, or they got one of these little half pints for $6, don't complain. Just pick it up, pay that cash, and go home. Because where else are you going to get fresh River Valley honey from locally grown right here in the River Valley? That's going to be our lesson for today. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm Phil Sims for the U of A Division of Agriculture with my assistants today. Our video graphic coordinator is Katie Golden, our 4-H agent, and my wife Janie Sims was helping in the background, handing us tools and taking care of all our cleanup chores and stuff. So with that, y'all have a good day.